That's what we're going to have a chat about. I think this is really, I'm hoping it's really valuable because it's a new year, right? This whole theme that often comes up around new year, new you, goal setting, and the pressure that can be created is a lot. And I've seen it over and over where people, they have their New Year's resolutions, new year, new you, do the vision board, go after all these things, get back in the gym, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And there's an important reason why it doesn't work, and it is solvable. It can actually be easily solvable, and it really does depend on your approach. So what I do normally in the morning when I get up and I have my coffee, I'll go over the dreams that I've had. Oh wow, look at that. We've got a crow that just popped up here on the balcony. Right there, look at that. Hello. Yes. Interesting timing there. So, anyway, this is like where I look at sort of the symbology or the magic of this crow, right? Crow from a symbolic standpoint can represent the idea of sometimes oh wow, listen to it singing. Oh my gosh, 2 of them. Wow. It can represent sometimes the crow. Do not poo on my balcony, okay? Do not poo on here. But it can represent the idea of overcoming from a spiritual standpoint, overcoming negativity, and also the idea of creating magic in one's life on a deeper spiritual level. Look at that. Well, that's sort of cool. I really like that. So I probably should tell them to go away. Let's see. Go on. Up. Off you go. 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 Wow. Wow. Okay, because that normally doesn't happen to me. So interesting timing. And okay, so we are here in Miami Beach, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous day. And so I think it's important to make sure that one doesn't let things. I like to think of the idea of that you don't let life control you, that you are in control of life. So, going back to this idea of goals, why goal setting doesn't work. Goal setting doesn't work when you start to feel a lot of pressure, right? Let me just come and sit down here a sec. When you start to feel a lot of like I should do this thing, I should have this goal, when it starts to feel like if I get this thing done by this certain time frame. So typically in goal setting, always like the way that I learned it, and there's no one right way to do it, is that you can have your 10-year goals, your 5-year goals, your 3-year goals, your 1-year goals, your 6-month goals, your month's goals, your 1 month, right, your 30 days, and then say your week goals, your daily goals. And when you have those, if that starts to, especially like where I've been in different in the past over the years, would be say either where I've been in a group around other people doing goal setting, or I've been leading a group, that I know for myself, looking back in the past, where it would create a pressure of there can be a healthy pressure or an unhealthy pressure, and this is, and I'm going to go over these things with you so you can discern for yourself, does it make sense for you to have goals? And then secondly, if you do want to have goals and you're following them, just know a lot of the times, I can tell you sort of from having walked the entrepreneurial pathway for a number of years, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, that things do not happen typically in the time frame that you want, and they don't unfold in the way that you want, because sometimes think of it like just life has a different plan, like, because there's so many things that you don't have control of around you. And then when you see other people out there maybe say, oh, I had this vision, or I went after this thing and then I achieved it in this way, you're not seeing all the things that happen in between with that. So I think that if you are going to have a goal and you are going to do goal setting, one of the things I have found very helpful is not to attach to the outcomes. Because as soon as you attach to, if I don't, say for example, make this certain amount of money, get to this certain point in my business, reach this certain weight, live in this particular home, buy this certain thing, have this certain experience, then I'm not going to, then I've failed in some capacity. And it's not about that, that idea of that failure. So, it's really important for yourself to check in and see you have this certain goal or these goals. And so I'll tell you for myself, I do have certain goals around some, for say, like I have goals around, say, doing certain things in YouTube. I have goals around a startup that I'm involved in. I have goals around just daily life, but again, without being, what I've realized how important it is not being attached to those outcomes too, because then if something goes well, great. But if for example, something comes up in life that is beyond my control, then I'm not stuck on it. It's not dictating whether I am a success or failure. I make sure that I just take actions. I take consistent actions on a daily basis, and so I take actions on a daily basis. Hang on a second, I'm just looking at something here. Hi there. Hello. I wish I could pronounce this. W1NR1X. That's a really interesting name. I wonder why you picked that name. And hello, Destiny. So, in terms of looking at, well, why are you picking those certain things? So daily simple actions I find very helpful, because every time that, say, I found that I set myself a list of, I'm going to achieve all of these things by this certain date, and it just, especially like I'm going to give you an example here in the past. And no, I do not speak Russian. Unfortunately, I do not speak Russian. Thank you, Destiny. Thank you. So, so if I'm curious to hear about how you feel about goals. We're having a conversation here about the pressure of goal setting. And I'm here in Miami Beach. So welcome to Miami Beach here. We've got it's a beautiful morning here. Gorgeous. This is one of my favorite things to do. You can see the W Hotel, the Satai. This is Miami Beach Library. We've got Collins Park, Port of Miami over there. And we had some crows come visit us on the balcony this morning. 2 of them that came right here. Oh, and that's the Miami City Ballet. So welcome. Do I have a dog? No, I do not have a dog, but I used to have a dog, and his name was Julius. From growing up. So I'm just having like a little sort of like when I have my morning coffee, which is finished now. and just thinking about goals, you know. All right, well, I'm gonna have to learn something in Russian. I'm gonna figure that out. So, um, goals. For me, I'm not going to. What I've decided, having been someone that sets goals a lot, I'm not going to focus on goal setting this year, because every time that I put all the goals, it just puts a lot of pressure. I've seen it in the past when I have helped people go, like, they've wanted to do a book, and to get their book out there, whether it's in fiction or non-fiction, typically in non-fiction, because I've written several books, and one of them was published by HarperCollins called Big Miracles, the 11 Spiritual Rules for Ultimate Success. And I would see then the percentage of those people that actually managed to finish their book was very, very few. Very few, even though it's easier than ever to do book publishing. I mean, it's super simple now with Amazon, but back in the day when I was first doing it, when I did my first book, it took me initially 10 years of every time I sat down to write, to do the book, I just couldn't do it. It would just be a mess. It would be a hodgepodge of things. And then eventually it got to a point where I feel like at a soul level, things consolidated enough or aligned within me at that soul level that then I was able to write that first book that I wrote. I wrote it within 6 weeks, and I did have a deadline for publishing that book, and then I published it within the 6 weeks later. I did set myself that timeline, and I did do it. But that goal for me then, that book was called Unleash the Psychic in You, How to Trust Your Intuition for Successful Decision Making. When I did that, but that felt like, it felt joyful for me. It felt exciting. It felt necessary. It felt really positive. I did not feel any pressure. It was as if there was energy, spirit, my soul, my higher self, wise self, however you want to think of it, was guiding me. There was no struggle with it at all. So that is like, how do you know if you are meant to have a goal in some capacity? Because it's almost like your goals pick you. You don't pick them. Let's say, for example, the amount of times when I have also, I'll give you another example, when I've had a goal or some type of like vision, broken it down into goal steps, and then something's happened along the way where it didn't work out, that I've let it go. I've been like, oh, forget it. I'm not going to do that anymore. That actually happened when I had started. I did back in the end of 2017, I had launched a crypto channel, which was sharing my crypto journey. And then I just put it aside, discarded it all, because at the time the crypto market went into a crypto winter, and I was just done with things. And enjoy your food, Destiny. And I let it go, and then the energy came back in. It was then 3 years later that I then went ahead and did that crypto channel. And I remember when I started it, in the first couple of weeks, it was like barely anything was happening. And just right when I was about to give up, that's when it took off and had success. And then it led to a lot of other really, really great things. So again, a lot of with goal setting, I would say from my experience, if you set a goal because it's just something to give you a marker, think of it like just something that gives you focus, almost as if you are on a boat and you're looking to a point on the horizon, and it's just helping you to stay steady. But as soon as it feels like something that is impossible or unreachable, Alestin, so I hope I'm pronouncing that. Hi. As soon as it feels just impossible, right, in terms of these goals, then drop it, and so I'm not saying that having goals are good or bad. In my experience, and you tell me what you feel it is for you, let me know in the comments. Having goals can be very good, and they can also, it can be absolutely crippling and difficult at times. You have to evaluate for yourself. If having a goal motivates you, helps you feel driven in a way that is inspiring, not where you feel like you want to shrink, where you want to give up, then great, do the goals. But if you have the goals and it just it just makes you feel bad, don't do it. Oh my gosh, Jesus given life. Good morning. Yes, good morning. So I'm just been loving your comments as well. You have so much wisdom. I just love it. Your energy is awesome. So really, really grateful for you and for the energy that you bring here to this space. And Charlie Collins, yes, gold is good. Yes, goals. Okay, gold is good. Goals are good, right? Goals are golden. So, are you setting goals in 2026? I noticed that I said that a little bit, like goals like this, because again, for me, at the point where I'm at in my life, is I'm just so tired of this goal setting. When it becomes this pressure. That's the conversation we're having here. Hi, Shelby. And then Leo says, how old is everyone here now? Just curious. You're asking ages. I don't know how old everyone here is, but I can tell you that I am 53 years old. And so I have a lot of life experience. I wish at times when I had goals and was very driven in my 20s, when I was super driven in my 20s, and I made my first independent feature film. That was back when they had 35mm film. And I remember driving to see my spiritual mentor in Wales, and I was listening to the Dove Simmons film school tapes, and I was like, oh, if Spike Lee and Quentin Tarantino can just go and do guerrilla filmmaking, then I can do it too. And I remember coming back from that trip in the woods and doing all this, sort of spiritual stuff, and then going and getting the movie made with, it was at the time of my best friend, and we, 4.5 weeks, I think it was like around 4.5 weeks later, we were off filming. We were filming in the UK, we were filming in Greece, and I had a crew of almost 80 people, and we made this movie called Brothers. And it was crazy because at the time Sky TV came and filmed us. There was a show, they had Ibiza uncovered and Greece uncovered, and so it was following us making that movie, which was a lot of pressure at the time. There were so many things that I wish I had known and done differently. If I think about the goal, actually I didn't even really have a big goal then or anything. It was just okay, let's just go do this thing. But the person who I helped at the time to get that movie off the ground, they had that goal for many, many years, and then things lined up. They worked out for them. And Eldo, that first feature film, it was called Brothers. It was lads going on holiday, going on vacation, and back then my name was Joanna Garvin. That was before I was married. And it was after that, though, in terms of goals, my goal was then to go and make it in Hollywood. And at the time I made some really stupid mistakes, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and rent a house in Hollywood. So I rented a house up in the Hollywood Hills. It was at the time Lowell Cream's house. He did a really famous song. I'm a terrible singer. It was I'm Not in Love. So just forget it. It's a phase I'm going through. Yeah, you do not want to hear me sing. I'm really good at, like, with intuition, but I'm a terrible singer. And and hello, Historis. I can't pronounce his names properly. And Roseanne, hi Roseanne, and hi YMUAS. So I rented this house in the Hollywood Hills, and at the time it was an agent, like a really big Hollywood agent, that was like, okay, you know, we're going to take you on. And I remember being assigned then to another agency. This was the time when ICM still existed, and this agent was like, I'm going to make you shine. And this was at the time when I was producing and writing, had this film, like the script written, called More Than a Woman. And you know, I was really bold. I had these goals to be super, super successful in Hollywood. And then I reached out to the head of Universal Studios. And then I guess I didn't realize, I didn't understand, like, things you don't do in Hollywood. And hi Emily, hi. And yeah, so I got a call from the head of ICM at that point, and he phoned me. I remember I was like sitting in my back office thing in my house in the Hollywood Hills thinking, oh yay, great. And he screamed at me like, I've just had a call from Stacey Snider from Universal Studios. What the hell are you doing? Why are you saying Julia Roberts is attached to this movie and that, and you were done in Hollywood and everything. A bit like from that TV show, like Ari Gold's character from Entourage. And I just imploded. This is when I was in my 20s. My goal then, or my dream, right? Because goals go towards dreams. At that point, I felt so, I just gave up. That was it. I didn't pursue that anymore. I did like some little bits of things. When I say I just gave up, you know, I was still doing some things, but I just stepped away from it in the end completely. If I know what I know now, I wouldn't have given up. I did go on to do a lot of other things in sort of TV and a lot of other things in TV, from in production to then in front of the camera, behind the camera. But I didn't, because I just think, again, I put this pressure on myself of, I've got to get this movie made by a certain time in a certain way, and my goals were too big. And so I think that's why I like the idea of simplicity. Do I still work with Martin? No, we do not work together anymore. Karen Gone Wild. So what is your advice for someone looking to get into movie production? Okay, so I would just say, I mean, you can start off, like, even, I think it's easier than ever today. It's easier than ever. And then let's just see, hang on, I'm going to answer that in a second, Eldon, so hang on a minute. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do today if I was starting from scratch and making films. Dustin says, most women in their 20s give up and accomplish nothing. If that is the case, yeah, that would be a shame. And Thunderbolt, is it grippy? I don't know exactly what that means. That sounds like Gen Z. And Stray Kid Lover, my name is Joanna. My name is Joanna, yes. And hello, Madhab. Oh, hi, good to see you again. So Nathan, yo. So let's talk a sec about, if, say, for example, and you could apply this to anything you want to do. If you just want to go and do some type of film today and get started, if you're waiting for gatekeepers, I actually met someone the other day across the road at the gym, because we're in Miami Beach here. Miami Beach. Who, she runs film studios, and she was telling me how much, out of LA and New York, and she was saying how much the industry is changing dramatically. And right now it's Netflix, it's Amazon very much who are leading the way. I think that if you're trying to, get a job somewhere, working your way up, it can be really tough to get in there because there are less and less jobs available. And I would just say, YouTube is there, over a third of people go and stream directly onto their TVs, onto their their TVs. I mean, essentially, you have access to distribution immediately. And oh, okay, Stray Kid Lovers, your name is Joanna. So we're twins. LOL, I love that. Um, okay, I'm not gonna do politics here though. Okay, no politics. Um, and then, okay, so Thunderbolt, you want to become a good movie star like Leonardo DiCaprio. I love that. Yes, I do remember you, Madhav. So I would just say you have YouTube where you can go shoot something if you have any type of phone, and you can go. A lot of people, you know, I can tell you from when I was doing acting in LA, so often they would go and do vertical shorts. Wow, there's so much sun coming through now. We've got the sun coming through. People would do vertical shorts, and you can just start off from there. Just decide you're going to shoot something. Either you shoot something where you're doing it yourself, or you do it with other people. There's a couple of guys who I know who they're lawyers and brothers, and they just decided to write their own stuff and start filming it. If you look at Issa Rae, right, she started off doing, what was it, like Awkward Black Girl. She did, you know, the sound was crap when she did her first films. She just put them up on YouTube, and then obviously, you know, eventually it led to her doing Insecure on HBO and her working with Shonda Rhimes. So I just say, like, you don't have to let anything limit you in any way. You're welcome, Eldo and Madhav. Okay, no, it's fine. You know, it's anything you want to share here. That's fine. I don't want to get into. Yeah, it's not good to get into. I find like I'm not a political channel. I try and focus on just how can your life feel better? How can you enjoy your life more, and just live into your, like, what is important to you, what your greatest potential is. And hang on, let's see, because it's sunny here. Hi, Rhett. Hi. So yeah, what is it? If you want to do, like, from what some of you are saying here, you want to go and do a film, start off, keep it simple. If eventually you're wanting to do something that you sell to Netflix, or you sell to Amazon, or whatever streamer, or you want to go and get and be in a film, like how at the time, how I ended up being on Darman and was getting those roles was, I just remember saying, okay, I'm going to go. I found someone who was a casting director and was also teaching acting classes, and the other person was a director. So I just, at the time, I just signed up via Zoom. I went on the casting, you know, doing like their acting classes. And then at the time, like, they would have different agents on there and different actors. Like, they had Vanessa Rubio, who was in Cobra Kai, and I remember, I think it was like my third class, and I had to put up work, and I was terrified. And thank you. Here, I'll tell you the next bit of that in a second. Let me see what you're saying here. David says, lose the accent. What accent? I am originally from England. Eldo says, looking to find a script, like, and put money into it. Well, just keep it, I would just say, do something that you feel is doable for you, and make sure that the script is good, because that was a lesson that I learned in the past. Like, if a script is not good, it doesn't matter how good a production you put together or how good the actors are. If the script isn't good, then it's just not going to work. But going back to this, so I had Vanessa Rubio, and remember putting up the work, and she said to me, just be you, Joanna. People want to see you. And I think at the time, like, I thought, probably because at times, like, my parents, just let me tell you, it doesn't matter what age you are. If your parents can be judgmental of you, they can be judgmental of you. Like, my dad will be like, you're talented, you're really talented and smart, Joanna, but, it's always like the but. So, I think that really, I took that in from Vanessa, because I really felt it from the heart. And then I remember I put myself on Actors Access at the time, and I did not have an agent. And then I submitted this audition, like I saw this role came up, which was to play this evil lawyer who is actually secretly a witch. I didn't know it was Darman Studios at the time, and it was runes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got runes. Oh, I can do this. And then I remember learning from another casting director who I did a workshop with. She was like, well, you just got to just take the action, put yourself out there. And hang on, and then hang on, let's see what Eldo says. What are the different levels of movie productions? For instance, like if you put 250,000 or 500,000 to a movie, what is your role at that point? Do you let director or everything, or are you involved? I mean, you at that point, you're an executive producer if you're putting that level of money in. And you know, again, with filmmaking today, you don't, depending on what you want to do, you don't have to put that much money in. I mean, it just really depends on the level of production that you're doing. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, with like co-productions to, you know, what sort of platform, what type of deal you're trying to do. Yeah, Madhav says, yeah, our parents, hang on, let me go back and see this. Our parents always support us. Their love is truly solace. That yes. 6'7", what's 6'7" mean? Tell me what that means. 67. So, yeah, at the time I remember doing that audition, and then I got it. I got that role, and that was for Secrets of the Shadows, and it was awesome. Like, you know, that was like a really great experience. So if we bring it back to the idea of goals, I think it's like goals can work if you're not attached to the outcome. Like, it feels, again, it has to feel sort of inspiring, sort of like Eldo for you, where you want to go and do a film, right? You want to go and get a movie made. Like, if that keeps coming back as something important to you, you will find a way to do it. You will. And you know, it might be that you do it, like you work on, it's good to work on other people's things or collaborate. You're going to, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, for example, when I did that film, Brothers, it didn't, we had a nationwide release in movie theaters at the time, and but we didn't get to sell it to the US at the time. It was a split between, I had the head of 20th Century Fox at the time, and then we also had for Paramount, and they all passed on it, and we did not end up with that deal. We did sell it to Channel 5 in the UK, and then I remember it like played that Easter weekend, and so it did well on TV. We got that deal, but it was here, I'm gonna come inside here because it's too sunny outside, but here, but it did, because I can't see your comments here. But so was that a failure? Was that a success? You know, ultimately, yeah, where I wanted to have those big dreams or those goals of being super successful with that. It just didn't, you know, it just didn't work out, say, in the way that I wanted it to work out. Let's see what you're saying here. 20 days until your birthday. Let's see, 20 days until your birthday. I cannot read your name there. Pacheco. Put what your name is there. Happy birthday. Happy birthday for right birthday month. And Talis, okay, hi. And you're gonna be 9. Who's that? Joanna, you're gonna be 9. Really? But okay. Sounds like okay, and you're looking at why not to have goals. That's okay, good. I like that. So I would say just you know, I guess like we've gone on a sort of a whole circle here with different things of from why not to have goals, because having goals puts a lot of pressure, and just coming back to simplicity. And today I've shared sort of some different things of where vision, things happen quickly, they happen slowly. Do you have goals for this year? If you have goals, why? And And I would say if you do have goals or you have a vision for something, just be patient with yourself. The other thing is, and I have talked about this in the book I wrote, Big Miracles. Actually, we have it right here. It's on my bookshelf. So this book, this was a goal. Like, I had a goal for over 20 years to be published by HarperCollins, and then it happened. And but that was like, to get to that point, I had to teach a ton of workshops. I had to, first of all, I self-published my first book, and then I taught more workshops and did the whole speaking circuit. And then, because the main publisher from Harper One, which is part of HarperCollins, I didn't know she was in the audience, and then that led to me getting that book deal. So sometimes it's like, there's a long gap in between. Prior to that, many years before, whenever I tried to get a book agent, I couldn't get a book agent, and it didn't happen. So did that mean I couldn't write? No, it just meant that those particular agents that I went for at the time in the UK didn't see my ability. And the other thing that I did was, whenever I was waiting to go somewhere, like if someone was late to meet me, if I was going on the tube, when I say the tube, right, this is when I lived in London, when a friend was late, or I was just, and in between, I would have a journal with me and I would just write. And I went to writing workshops, and some of what I wrote was crap and didn't make sense, but eventually I became a better writer. Some of the acting I've done is absolutely rubbish. It's just awful. And then some of it has been really good. And again, another thing I've learned that I think is important for you is, don't attach to the outcomes. Like, if you have a dream to go for something or do something, then go for that dream. Follow through with it, but don't let the pressure of what other people think of you, or their belief, or the idea about how they see you or what they think is possible. Don't let that define you. That's really important. Jesus given success, life, Jesus, blessed to share when I felt your heart and soul. Yes, I appreciate that so much. Like, you've got so much wisdom. So I love seeing your comments and your positive energy. Oh my God. Barry, why are you saying that? Like, what is that? Like, seriously, like, what's that? Is that in relationship to goals? Like, okay, I guess you're bored. So I'm not going to say that out loud. People can just read that comment, I guess. What's this? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. This is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yes, I guess, okay, so now we've got just like silly comments here. That's fine if that's entertaining for you. But I'm glad that you're here, because maybe you'll learn something about living in alignment with yourself. Okay, so yes, the internet is a wild place. It is. Okay, so you think this is funny. That's fine. So I would say, again, goals. I'm going to bring it back to goals. Okay. 67 Google search lists as, what's that say, slang, can be cool, uncool, or simply nothing. All right, so 67. All right, so, well, I mean, cool, uncool, or simply nothing. I guess it is what it is. 67 is going to mean whatever it's going to mean to someone, sort of like Douglas Adams. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 42. I mean, 42, is that the answer to the universe? I mean, we're going to all disappear into cosmic dust. right? I mean, we're here now on YouTube, but you know, is any of this going to be relevant in whenever? No, but we just happen to all be here together right now. You know, people who just want to make fun of me, people who are genuine and sincere, but I like that we're all here together. Okay, D. Ron says, I'm just saying with all the medical advancements, it's really hard. Like, what medical advancements? Should I hit a blinker? Nicola, yes. Hi, Nicola. We're having a little chat here on why not to have goals and the pressure of goals. And then some people are going off on tangents. Yes, I am live back on Monday. And then I can't read this name at 1S something, 16 something. Nothing might be teens' way of saying hello okay, hello, yeah. You know, obviously I'm not Gen Z, although I have a Gen Z. Nicola, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that's so lovely. I love you so much. I love you so much too, Nicola. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, acknowledgement here, me just showing up, and I know you're doing great things in 2026 with everything and the way you help people. Let's see what this comment says. Hang on, something Virginia broke. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm not going to read that out. Let's see, Nicola says, girl, when you are live, I will be at work. Oh my gosh, I'm not always going to be live at this time. I'm sort of doing different times. I just hop on when I feel inspired. And yeah, just when I feel inspired to share something. And a lot of the time that is in the morning when the sun's coming up in Miami Beach. It just got a little bit hot outside, so it's sunny, and I couldn't read the comments, so I came inside. Oh my gosh, these comments are just hilarious. Nicola, why do you think people like to do this? And it just, oh my gosh, this D Rock Julie, like, this is hilarious. These comments, like, these are so funny. Okay, something, Jasmine. Hang on, Jasmine, I missed you explaining why goal setting can hinder your progress. Okay, so hopefully please go back to the beginning, and I do go back, but I will explain it here now. So the reason goal setting can hinder your progress is because it puts you under a lot of pressure. If you, let's say for example, you set a goal and you say you got to achieve it by a certain point and you don't, there is a likelihood that you're going to give up. It's also then, if it's not going to be good for your nervous system, it's then, you know, it's like the idea of go big or go home. Well, why not just make it simple little steps? Like, here, I'm going to, you know, it took me 20 years to get around to doing this book that's published by HarperCollins. And that, you know, and I say that not to be like, hey, look at my book, but because that was a goal for myself for a really, really long time. I wanted to be published by HarperCollins, and every time I set that goal and failed, then I thought that, you know, some part of me just thought things weren't possible. But I think that if you just allow, the key is, rather than setting goals, let the things that come naturally to you. So you just, again, this comes from your intuition, from yourself of natural desire. Do not, now as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh my God, some of the comments that are going to come as I say that, people are going to go off on a tangent. Nicola, thank you. Nicola says, I have read the book and I read it. It's so good. Thank you. Madhav, you are an author, you write books. I do, yeah, I wrote, so that here we got Big Miracles, the 11 Spiritual Rules for Ultimate Success, which is the idea of just simple actions. I just don't want anyone to put pressure on themselves in 2026. I wrote this book I don't like the cover of this one anymore, which is Unleash the Psychic in You, How to Trust Your Intuition for Successful Decision Making. That one, the international book winner in the category of spirituality. Actually, for this book, for some reason I've got the sticker on this one. So here, and I wrote this book and self-published that before I did this one. It was published by HarperCollins. And then I wrote this book before I wrote either one of these books, called Scarlett's Confession, Tales of a British Psychic. And that's like Bridget Jones meets Sex and the City. And it's just, you know, really it's like unfiltered spiritual thoughts, and it's a bit racy, it's a bit naughty. And I guess it was partly like where I feel like there was a part of me that was a really good psychic, really good at intuitive, but another part of me that was just, you know, really just, I guess, had resentments and just was judgmental of other people, and so really just saying like, oh, how spiritual people can be really unspiritual, and that includes myself. So I published this many years later, but I actually wrote it, oh my gosh, I wrote it over 20 years ago. So this was more in my wild days before I got married and had a kid. Okay, so Nicola said, I've been looking to write at some point too, and I have your fiction book. It's written so differently. Like with this one, I just wanted to get it published at the time, and you know, it's fun and that. I wanted to make it into a TV show or film, and maybe I will make it into a TV show or film at some point. It would convert really well for doing for TV, but you know, that was a goal I had, and then I didn't do it, or not yet. At Madhav, can I get it on Amazon? Yes, they're all on Amazon. So the names of the books we got, so this is Big Miracles, the 11 Spiritual Rules for Ultimate Success. My name's Joanna Garzilli. So that's like the deepest spiritual, you know, how do you know you're in a spiritual alignment and you feel good? How do you know you're not in spiritual alignment? You feel bad. How do you go and create big miracles? You take simple, small action steps. It's sort of like when I started doing my crypto channel, I had hardly anyone on there, and then that eventually led to me having several thousand people on there, and it led to a really, really awesome job opportunity at the time. Something here. God, hang on, am I reading this right? Reading God love something you. Hi. Madhav, wow. Nicola says, Joanna, I'm happy to help if you need it. Amazing. Yes, Madhav, Big Miracles. The other one is, there's an audiobook version of this too. This one, out of Big Miracles, Unleash the Psychic in You, which is the idea that everyone has the gift of intuition. We all have intuition. We just have to trust it and listen to it. Going back to, if there is something that you want to do in your life, whether it is make a film, make TV shows, act, write books, share your wisdom in whatever capacity, do a startup, that you can do it, that you can do it if you feel called to do it. You just have to take the action steps, and you don't need to have goals. Let it come from within you. Let it just show up from there, and don't, like when you try and force things, it makes it really, really difficult. I originally, when I first, this is like a second edition of the book, this one I wrote, like it took me 10 years to do this. I taught loads and loads of workshops, and then I wrote it in 6 weeks and had published it 6 weeks after that. This one, it took me much longer. This idea I first taught as a group, and it took me several years. Like it took 7 years of development, but then I wrote it in a year and a half. And this one I wrote in a year, but it took me then like another 20 years to decide to publish it. Madhav, do I sign books? I mean, I do. I've done it when I've done live book signings and workshops. I have. So if you're coming to Miami Beach, happy to do it. I haven't done any live like in-person workshops or book signings for a while. I used to go tour, do all of that, but I just haven't. And then Nicola says, I need to get unleash. Yes, unleash. Right, because you're super intuitive, Nicola, very, very intuitive and in tune. Victor, hi. And then I can't see Shisho, I can't read that name. People have interesting names on here. Wow. And so Madhav, on which one is it autobiography? No, this is like how to be able to like live in alignment with yourself spiritually. This is about trusting your own intuition, and there's elements that I share, personal things, not to talk about myself, but to give insight. Again, whenever I talk on here with you and I share personal things, it's not to bang on about or talk about me, but more, I hope it gives you some sort of inspiration in some capacity to, you know, trust yourself, live in alignment with yourself. And because I'm just noticing that a lot. Like I feel I became quite I stopped being online for a period of time or doing anything out there publicly because I became disillusioned by just the way people put themselves out there. You know, this sort of, hey, I'm this person, and if you follow me, you can make $1 million. You know, I'm just so tired of that BS. And oh, you just this, and then things work out. It's like, you know, I used to be a spiritual coach for some of the very, very big names, self-help and personal development names in the industry, and what they would show on when they're on stage, when they're on TV, is not like a lot of what happens behind the scenes is like not an alignment, or just, oh, if you just have this system and you follow these exact steps, everything's going to work out this certain way. But then they don't tell you, say, the specific thing of where they've struggled or how long it takes. They just sell you something that just looks easy. This goes back to why having certain goals doesn't work, because they're going to say to you, oh, you just do this, just set this goal, do this in this way. And then when you can't achieve it in the same way like they have, because they've gone through a whole different process, their journey's been different from yours, and you know, it's just not reality. So you know, I just seen it. About a year or so ago, I went into just to see, like, into a group with other people. They're all setting their goals, and you know, most people dropped off. When I've been in masterminds, they drop out of masterminds. When they go and sign up for courses, they drop out of courses. New year, you're going to see all this new year, new you. Go and sign up to this thing and that thing, and you know, only do it if it gives you, just allows you to take one step forward, but just don't put the pressure on yourself. That's when you do realize your goals or your vision and the success comes. Nicola says, Joanna, you should be proud of yourself. Thank you. I think rather than feeling proud, I feel grateful, where in the past I was always so driven. Oh, I gotta, you know, sell this amount of books. I gotta do this amount of things. I've got to get on this show, or do this or do that. It just, you know, the most important thing I've learned for me at this phase in my life, in my 50s, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm in my 50s, is like family and health. Family and health are the most important things for me. So then, you know, having your core values is really, really helpful, because that will then fuel you. Because I can tell you, in the past, like when I had certain goals to be a certain level of success, it was like, at that point in time, I made a lot of money, and then I burned through all that money. I was very visible, and then I felt so wounded, I became invisible. Nicola says, I'll come to the UK, then I will take you out for a coffee. I will be back in the UK at some point, because I have to go and, you know, see my mom and see my dad. So we will do that. Okay. Crier Mal Brooks says, shut up. Okay, thank you for that. Mathav says, Nicola says, I could relate. Nicola says, girl, you were 35 to me. Thank you. Scott says, good morning. Nicola said, just let me know when. Yeah, I don't know when right now. Thank you, Play Roblox. That's very kind. So I have definitely have. This has been an epic chat today, and so the main thing I want to leave you with is only have goals if it inspires you, it moves you forward, it helps you, give you clear, think of it like metrics, a point to be able to go, am I being productive? Am I getting the results I want? But if it starts to create anxiety, stress, pressure, don't do it. Just don't do it, and don't worry about what other people are doing around you, how far along they are. There's this expression which is compare and despair, and if you look at what someone else is doing, it's just only look at what someone else is doing in terms of their goals or something if it inspires you. But if it doesn't inspire you, back off. And I promise you that if you don't put yourself under that pressure and you just allow, then you are actually going to get the outcomes you want. You will get to that. Trust in that process. Trust your strengths, maybe your skills, your talents that you just they're dormant. They haven't come out yet, but they will come forth. Leo says, okay, Leo's saying, hello, Nick, hello, Scott. Nicola says, the wisest message, Joanna. Thank you. I appreciate that. So just trust yourself, trust you. When you don't trust you in your process, then that comes back to sitting quietly, to being oneself and allowing that innate wisdom to come through, because we all have the gift of intuition. And if for some reason someone's still here with me watching this, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I am sending you lots and lots of love, and I don't know when I'll be on here next, but I will, when I'm inspired and I feel like I have something insightful to share with you.